back. We continue our coverage of Governor Ron DeSantis' inauguration today.
Our co-anchor Tom McDermott is live at the Capitol in Tallahassee tonight with reaction from our WPBF 25 exclusive political analysts. Todd?
Well, Jade, Tiffany, on election night, there was a victory speech. The next day, when asked about a 2024 run, the newly re-elected governor said it was too soon for those questions, but there will be a lot of speculation based on what was said in this inaugural address today, this morning here in Tallahassee. Let's bring in our exclusive WPBF 25 political analyst. That's former House Majority Leader Adam Hasner, former Congressman Ron Klein. Gentlemen, thanks both for taking the time to be with me today. But Adam, I want to start with you because you were here today. And before we get to the content of the inaugural address, I have to ask you about your impressions of the event itself, because to me it seemed bigger and bolder than 4 years ago.
You nailed it. Not just bigger and bolder than 4 years ago, bigger and bolder than many of the last probably 5 inaugurals that I've personally been to. Bigger crowds, more excitement. And I think a lot of it is just because of how well Florida is doing. And then too, some of the speculation about the possibility that Governor Ron DeSantis may be looking at a political future and a run for the presidency.
Well, let me ask you, Ron, when I saw the cannon salute and the flyover and just the sheer number of people who are here and the way the event was put on, it was so different. Do you think that sends a message to Republicans outside the state of Florida today?
Yeah, I think he's trying to send a message. He wants to run for president, and he wants to be, catching the ball. If Trump drops the ball, he wants to be in that place. I would also, suggest the fact that he really is not tried or true outside the state of Florida. He's got his own little story about what happened in the election here, which is obviously a good story for him. But there's 49 other states, and believe me, a lot of people in the state of Florida, let alone outside the state of Florida, think that his petri dish way of he's dealing with Florida with abortion issues and not dealing with the things like property insurance, but sort of focusing on the real social, cultural kinds of things. He seems to think that's a winning combination. I think if you take that on a broader basis, it's not.
Well, let me go back to you, Ron. I'm going to throw a change up here, guys. Ron, what would Governor DeSantis have to do as a newly reelected governor here in Florida to make himself a better national candidate?
Well, I think what he could do is probably, get a little back toward the middle. America is a pretty mainstream center-right kind of place. So which means that the far right, which we've seen the Republican Party move way out to the right, and you see it here. I'm in Washington today, and you see they can't even get their act together to elect their own speaker from their own party. But the far left also is far out to the left. Mainstream is what it's all about. Governor DeSantis is not governing from the middle. He's governing from the far right. So I don't know what he does unless he changes his total positions on a lot of things.
Let me go to Adam then. Adam, let's talk about possible pitfalls that the governor may face in any kind of national run, and is one of them named Donald Trump?
Well, I think before you go there, you have to remember that today's speech, it was 16 minutes. It was very tight. He got a lot accomplished during that time in terms of, as you said, promises made, promises kept, and a plan for the future. But I don't think he's paying much attention to anyone else, be it Donald Trump or any other potential Republican candidate. I think what he's showing is that he has a blueprint for how to run, Florida being the 3rd largest state, and he was rewarded with an overwhelming victory. And I think he's going to continue to do that for the next several months during the legislative session. And I think then you'll possibly see him start to take this out for a test drive around the rest of the country. And so I think it's not a question of whether there are pitfalls or potential roadblocks. He's somebody who does what he says and says what he does. And I think it's proven successful for him, and he's going to double down on it. I think he doubled down on his agenda and his accomplishments in the speech today. And I think he's going to do this in the coming months. And I think that's been a recipe for success for him.
Adam Hasner, Ron Klein, thanks again for your perspective and analysis. It's always very, very enlightening. Thank you both very much. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, gentlemen.